Hi, good morning. Thank you for having me. My name is Deanna Porter, and I'm the Trauma Program Manager at Pertinent Health Central Coast at Sierra Vista Regional Medical Center. Sierra Vista is the county's only trauma center, and so my job is to work with our trauma medical director, our community physicians and partners and staff, as well as our pre-hospital providers and our county EMS to kind of work to make sure we are taking the best, most current evidence-based care of our most severely injured trauma patients in the community. And one of the ways we do that, go closer? Okay, sorry. One of the ways we do that is to take the information we learn as the trauma center and go back into the community and do injury prevention and outreach to try to prevent injury from happening or to mitigate the risks of injury when it does occur. And one of those programs that I'm here to talk to you about today is our Stop the Bleed program. So Stop the Bleed was founded in 2012 after the Sandy Hook shooting. And for those of you who may not be aware, that was an active shooter in an elementary school. And what the medical examiner found was that most of the victims from Sandy Hook didn't die from immediately lethal injuries, they died from subsequent blood loss from their injuries. And so he convened what is now known as the Hartford Consensus, and he took experts from emergency medicine, from surgery, from the military, pre-hospital personnel, and academia, and they kind of poured over research as well as different autopsies from different events and things. And what they found is that the first few minutes of significant injury with blood loss is critical to prevent irreversible damage and life loss. So they developed this Stop the Bleed, and while active shooter situations are at the forefront of our mind because that's how this program was created and what we're bombarded with in the media, really this is information we all need. It could be a family member, a loved one, a coworker, from a significant laceration at home, a workplace injury, a car crash, motorcycle crash, etc. So this is really pertinent to everyone in the room. And what we do is go and teach the ABCs of bleeding control. So A, just being alert, it doesn't do any good for you to be putting pressure on bleeding and not have anybody coming to relieve you and get that patient to the hospital. So little tips and tricks like don't just yell, somebody call 911, and nobody's doing it because they think somebody else is, designating somebody, you call 911. We also talk about scene safety, how to know when it's safe to intervene for yourself and how to protect yourself from bloodborne pathogens and things that you might be exposed to. We also talk about what is life-threatening bleeding, the B. So what does life-threatening bleeding look like? Is it oozing? Is it pulsatile? Is it dressings that are saturated? What will the victim look like? Are they pale? Are they passing out, confused? Those kinds of things so that you know what to expect when you're in this situation. And then we talk about where the bleeding is coming from. Is it an arm or a leg where you may be able to use a tourniquet? Is it a junctional area where a tourniquet can't be applied? Sometimes we may want to put a tourniquet on somebody's neck, but that is ill-advised, so please don't do that. And then we talk about core bleeding. So if it's in the chest or abdomen, that bleeding could be internal, and what tips do you have for that? A lot of times that's just notifying EMS that this person may need to be triaged first ahead of other patients if it's a multi-casualty type situation. And then C, we go over what is compression, how do we stop the bleeding. We do hands-on training as far as direct pressure, little tips like not checking to see if you have bleeding control, but firm, direct, continuous pressure to let that clot build. We talk about wound packing, so making sure all of the edges of the wound are packed so that you're getting bleeding control, not covering the top while bleeding still happening underneath. We talk about things like these techniques hurt, and they're going to hurt the victim, and how you can be prepared for that, and what kind of things you can do to encourage them. And then we go over tourniquets, be those manufactured pre-made tourniquets that you might find in a store, or how to make a tourniquet if you're out in the world and don't have one in your back pocket. What kind of things can you use to improvise to make a tourniquet? And then finally we go over what kind of things you need for a trauma or bleeding kit. If you want to buy one, where can you get one? Or if you want to be a little bit more conscious about what you're using, what supplies are absolutely necessary and where do you find them. The class is completely free of charge. We love getting out of the office, so please use our services. We have flyers in the back with a link. We also offer standing classes both at Twin Cities Community Hospital and at Sierra Vista, so we cover both ends of the county. Those are each once a month. There's a link in the back on the flyer and a QR code if you want to register for those, or my information is on there if you're interested in signing up for a small group class. We love to go out in the community. We've done church groups, Girl Scout troops, gun clubs, book clubs. We've taught families at their home who had a big group that wanted to do it together with their neighbors. Really, the options are endless, so please Feel free to reach out to us, take a flyer, take a few flyers if you can think of anybody else in the community who might want to use this service as well. So with that, I'll turn it back over. Thank you very much.